is a parting tool. And
let's talk tool posts.
This is the boring bar holder.
Hi YouTube. Today I want to show a little bit about the tools for my lathe. I did one video, a short basic video, and you could go on and on. So this video is going to be about the tooling for my lathe. I hope you enjoy it.
This is a tap holder. It's something I picked up at an auction. It's a tool holder that articulates. I took a cheap tap handle and I just managed to fit it in there, and I put a flat and a set screw and I had to make a little collar, and that's been great. I can put pretty big taps in here and you put it in the tailstock on the lathe. This is a dead center that I have, and this is if you have a long piece in your lathe and you need to hold it from deflecting when you're cutting. I have a set of OD jaws for my chuck on the lathe. I keep them in my lathe drawer. And then over here I have some of my brazed in tooling that is carbide. I have my insert tooling. This set of tool holders, I bought these I think on Shars. You know, this is low cost, I'll call it hobbyist grade tool holders, but you know, they work good. They take a Torx bit. And then I've accumulated some other ones. I bought this set of inserts on, I believe, eBay. Pretty low cost. I probably paid only a few dollars per insert for this. Got a couple large drills for the lathe. It's Morse taper 3, and that's the size of this taper right here. So I keep those there. This here is a tool that I've custom ground. You can put this into a boring bar holder. Here, I've got one in here already. And when this is a really handy tool. You can plunge in, so you can face, you can turn, you can bore, and then I ground this corner of it at an angle so I can chamfer. You may have to reverse the spindle direction and run it reverse for that. This is a 4-jaw chuck, a very small one, like a 3-inch diameter. Sometimes if you want to do a small piece in the lathe, you can put that into the larger 3-jaw chuck that I have on the lathe. It just saves some time. Okay, this drawer is my tool holders. I've got these two I bought with the tool post holder, I think on Shars. This is a parting tool, and you can put different tools in there, and there's a wedge right there that you tighten down. This is the boring bar holder, which I was showing you earlier. Here is just a standard tool holder. It's got some knurling wheels in the back, which they don't work. Don't even waste your time. I'll show you what works for that. But here's another tool holder. This one I like because it has a little V shape in the bottom of it, so you can put round pieces in there and clamp down on them. This is how you knurl. You buy one of these tools, they pinch down. You turn this and it closes down on your piece. This works. Then you don't get deflection of the parts on the lathe. It's the only way to go. So that's my tool holder drawer. Here's a drawer where I have my larger files. And if I was, well, frankly, more careful, I wouldn't have them all sitting on top of each other like this. But, you know, for the lathe, Not really a great idea, but sometimes it's convenient. Sometimes you may choose to actually file something this spinning in the lathe chuck. You got to be really careful with it. Make sure you have a handle on the file. You don't want this sharp edge to impale you or something else. Okay, this is my drawer that contains all my high-speed bits and a couple carbide ones. You know, just random things over the years that I've sharpened to different shapes for different things. Look at this one for doing a little radius. Just my random bits of high-speed steel for the most part. A few weird pieces of carbide in here, and I have more parting tools. I actually don't have a parting holder for this one right now. Maybe I'll make one. This is my random drill bits drawer. I have a couple indexes of drills, but for a lot of work, just having any drill works good. I try to save the index drills for real specific things. So this is an exclusive lathe drawer, I guess, except for a boring head. But these are boring bar tools. I have a set of these. They're Eveready, Everede tool company. I got them at an auction. Came with different sizes. They're pretty handy. That was like a 3/4 inch shank. I've got a 1 inch shank version of it. You know, then here's a lower cost boring bar set that I bought. That was an import. You can, for this one, you take the high-speed steel tools and you just slide them in there, and there's a set screw on the end. They're not real compact, but you know, they can work. This is extra cutting tools for the Eveready boring bar. They're triangle shaped. This is a grooving tool. I have some inserts for it. They're not in it right now, but they go in there, and you can cut grooves and things. And then I have these boring, I don't know what you call them, a round shank boring bar. I've got all different sizes of these things with a brazed in tip. Now you can use these in the lathe or the boring head. So with the lathe, you're drilling holes. Obviously, I've got a lot more of these in my milling box, but I keep some at both machines. Spot drills, and then chamfering. I got one chamfering tool here. Okay, in here I'll highlight, I've got some broaching tools here. You can mount this in any spindle or on the boring bar holder of the lathe, and you can go back and forth, and you can actually broach. I've got a couple different shapes here. If you have a rotary broach tool, these would work in there. This one says Bridgeport on it. They may have actually been designed for that. This is the tailstock on the lathe. All right, now I have a chuck in it. But the way the tailstock works is you lock it down, and then you can turn this out. I fitted a digital readout on here. I got this for like 15 bucks online and mounted it. And it's really nice to know how deep you're drilling a hole. And the way the tailstock works is when you turn this, eventually you hit the back and it pushes out on the taper, and this comes off. So you can put another tool in there. And then most tools have these flats on the end, and there's two little tangs inside of that bore that make it so it can't turn, which is, especially on a drill bit, sometimes it can break loose, and that helps you so that way it doesn't spin in there. And this is a steady rest. If you can't use a dead center or a live center on your workpiece, you can go around it with this and you can adjust to the diameter. It can be pretty handy sometimes. And down here underneath the lathe, I have 14-inch diameter 4-jaw chuck and a faceplate. The 4-jaw chuck will allow you to get a piece dialed in on the lathe with no run out. It's the most precise way. A 3-jaw chuck doesn't have the ability to do that. It's a lot more work to set up, but it is more precise. I'd show this, but it's so heavy, I'm not going to take it out for this video. Now I want to point out something about tool storage when you own a lathe. There's a large area underneath most lathes that you can store items. So I got this cart and I have this loaded up with hundreds of pounds of tooling. It's a really good place to stow things away. This is a tool post grinder, and it comes in this steel box. This thing's old, but they still make them, and it has different pulleys, and they go on there, and it's spring loaded, and you can just change the pulleys. And then there's the stone, and you just dress that like you would a surface grinder or dressing wheel on your lathe. But this can allow you to grind a nice finish on the outside, or you can ID grind on the lathe with it. This one's old. You need to have a guard around the wheel, which is not shown here, but this could be very nice for making good finishes. Okay, one thing about a lathe is that it makes a mess when you're using it. So I have these pieces of sheet metal that I use to cover it up and keep the chips off of the ways. I've got these two that I mocked up, and then I even mounted this piece on the back. I'm gonna move them so you can see what's going on here. So one of the most important things when you're turning on a lathe is to have your tool be on center or be able to adjust it from center, but know where center is. So when you measure the height off of the way from center, this is one way to set it with the tool. You get a height gauge and you swing over here and you adjust this. The way you adjust these on these tool posts is you lower this up and down, and it raises it and lowers it, and you can just keep moving it like that until you have it perfectly lined up. That's right there. All right, let's talk tool posts. This is, I believe, CXA is the size it's called. This is an import. I got it from, I think, SharsTools.com. There's AXA, BXA, CXA, DXA. This is a 16-inch swing lathe, so this thing is designed for a certain height that is appropriate for a 16-inch swing lathe. So the height of this and the tool holders gets it in the range. You can end up, or if you have the wrong tool holder, you might have to put it like that, which you're not really supposed to do for rigidity reasons, and you can't fine adjust it with the screw. It can get you by in a bind, but if you buy, like, let's say I bought a BXA tool post holder for this lathe, this is what I would have to do. And I've seen that many times on other lathes. So you get the right tool post holder for your lathe. But most tool post holders like this, they have two positions. There are other, I'll say, fancier, higher end versions of tool holders. But you know, just a quick change tool holder like this for the hobbyist is a major game changer compared to what these old things had on them originally.